Mike, can you hear us?
He's working on it. Go ahead. You're all set, Sheriff. You're live.
You're also muted.
You have to unmute.
Letting people in. Okay, I'm going to call our meeting to order. Today is May 26, 2020. This is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee, and pursuant to Executive Order 2025 as extended by Executive Order 2034, issued by the Governor of the State of Rhode Island due to the current state of emergency due to the COVID-19 epidemic, this meeting is being conducted electronically. If I could ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Mrs. Healy, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Blasbach?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Hoskins?
Here.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Here.
Mr. Mather?
Here.
Mrs. Schott?
Here.
Student Representative Joe Bento? And Student Representative Ann Etchells?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Next we are going to have presentations and recognitions. And Dr. Jay, I'll hand it over to you if you have anything, as well as the foreign language curriculum presentation.
Dr. Mansieri has one item for the foreign language presentation.
Hi there, everybody. I'd just like to let you know today we congratulated Ailey Constantino. Ailey's in the class of 2021, and she received the 2020 Rhode Island State Young Leaders Award representing North Kingstown. Traditionally, Ailey would be invited to the State House with her parents to celebrate, which includes meeting with the treasurer. And today, Treasurer Magaziner did send a video to Ailey saying that Ailey used her academic strength and financial skills to make the community a better place. So we just like to congratulate Ailey and make sure that we make that on the record. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And as you mentioned, Mr. DeLucia and Dr. Mansieri are here to make a presentation on the foreign language curriculum. So welcome, Mr. DeLucia.
There he is. So I'm going to let Mark take it away. He's worked really hard with his world language department. They spent the better part of the year in the beginning organizing how they were going to do it. Then we had a little hiccup called the COVID-19. And then he took it back up, and I'm really proud of the work that he's done, and he's included some links in his curriculum to try to really make it something that students could use and teachers could use, whether they're at home or whether they're in the brick and mortar school for next year. So Mark, without any further, you can take it away.
I think he might be frozen.
Oh, no.
Or he's standing very, very still.
He is. He was probably going to share his... Uh-oh. I can share.
We'll give him a minute. That's okay. He probably went to like share screen, and then what tends to happen to me is the whole thing comes crashing down.
All right, let me just go.
Oh, he's moving again.
Okay, that's good.
Mark, can you hear us? I don't know.
All right. I wonder if we wait. Hold on, because I can get it to mine.
Mark, can you hear us? Doesn't look like it. Oh, okay, I've got a message he's sending me, says he has no audio.
Oh, no. What would you like to do? I could find the PDF.
Why don't we have him,
Let's see, maybe I'll
drop
check.
out and drop back in?
Yeah,
I mean, I can screen share the presentation.
Okay.
Hello, hello?
oh, there you go. Now you're good. Can you hear us? Well, we had him for a second.
He's moving. Mark, we can hear you. I'm
You
gonna
guys
text
hear
him.
me okay?
Now we can, yes.
I have no audio.
All right, you're back.
I don't know. Do you want me to try leaving the meeting and come back in?
Well, right now you're fine.
Okay, let me try that.
No.
You can't hear me.
Oh, okay, don't do that.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. You're all good. Can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think so either.
You should get out and get back in.
All right, and if that doesn't work, then Bob can share his screen and then he can just talk.
Greg, I think it might have to do with the earbuds. Remember how that happened with you?
I did have trouble.
Well, he had his earbuds in, so I don't know if someone can send him a
Yeah.
message not to
I'll
use
send him a
it.
message. What do you want me to tell him?
Not to use the earbuds.
Dave.
I used to use wire, and I apologize for anyone in the audience. This is the world we're in right now. But I used to use wireless ones, and they drop in and drop out, and then everything would freeze. So I gave up.
Not what he's doing.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
went with a
wireless.
wire instead. But Sally seems to be doing all right with the wireless ones, so good luck for you.
Oh, he did. He said, I'm on system audio. I'm going to leave and come back in. I'll say, okay.
AirPods work for me, you just have to remember to switch it over on your computer. Every time.
Okay, so we can see the PDF. Now we just need someone to make that little beeping sound they used to do on film strips. Remember that back in the day?
How's that?
We hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we
Sorry
hear
about
you.
that, guys.
That's good, and I think Bob has got the presentation up.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so if you just tell him when to switch slides, I think, Bob, that'll work, right?
Yeah.
Then let's go with that, because it's working.
Okay, all right, let's do that then. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to present our curriculum to you guys. Fine. Now that I can hear all of you. My name is Mark DeLucia. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the World Language Department Chair. I'm also the Curriculum Coordinator for grades 7 through 12. You can go ahead and change it. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a lot of the people who helped make this happen, and we're very excited about it today. So first, let me introduce the curriculum committee. Mr. David Aubin from Whitford and Davisville Middle Schools. Mrs. Mary Ann Conley from the high school. Myself, Ms. Courtney D'Souza, and Ms. Brittany White, all from the high school. The entire NKHS Whitford and Davisville World Language faculty. I'd also like to acknowledge the front office staff and at NKHS and Mrs. Buckley and Mrs. Beisel. They've been instrumental in helping us with a lot of things, such as the biliteracy seals. These are the ladies who put the actual seals on the diplomas, who had the notations to the transcripts, and so forth. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank them as well. Of course, Dr. Barbara Morse, our own principal, Ms. Marb, Mr. Lally, Drs. Mansiri and O'Shea, who have been instrumental in helping us with this, and of course you guys for all of your support on the North Kingstown School Committee. So thank you. So just to go through a few faculty highlights. In our department, we have not one but 2 Golden Apple winners, 1 Crystal Apple winner. We have 1 Fulbright scholar now on staff. It's not me. We have 2 native speakers and 1 heritage speaker on staff. And we have obviously certifications in all the languages we offer, plus we also have an Italian certificate valid on staff as well. So let's talk about a few of the highlights of our department. Currently, we are one of the only departments in the state who are offering not 1 but 2 AP Spanish courses. This can result in as many as 12 language credits at URI, 6 credits for AP language in both of the intermediate courses, and then between 3 and 6 credits depending on how a student scores on the AP exam for AP Spanish Literature. So an NK grad, in theory, could graduate with as many as 12 language credits and be 2 classes away from a minor in Spanish at URI, which is fantastic. Our AP pass rates, speaking of, continue to exceed the state and global averages. We have early enrollment through Rhode Island College with Portuguese 4, and we're working on that in German, more on that later. The GAP program for German is gearing up for another successful exchange next year, we hope. We hope that's not derailed by any more pandemics. The German URI International Engineering Partnership, we're continuing working with them in our discussions. We've had some great in-house field trips with them the last couple of years. We've sent over our German teacher on the PE day to shadow. And like I said, we're working towards early enrollment at URI. I believe you guys heard at the last school committee meeting about our success with the Seal of Biliteracy. We had 60 students pass the Seal of Biliteracy exam and receive the seal at graduation. As you guys know, starting with the class of 2021, that will be a big part of our school's accountability rating in our report card. The amount of commissioner seals, seals of biliteracy, and pathway certificates that we get out. So we've got a great start for that. Courtney D'Souza also gave the national Spanish exam to her classes this year, and we had 27 kids test very well above the national average. Some silver medalists, some bronze medalists, and we're just waiting to hear about if we placed in the state yet. We'll hear May 31st. They pushed it back because of everything that's happening. So as I said, we've been doing well, and therefore we are a department on the grow. We've had continued and steady growth in all 4 of our languages over the past few years. Certainly the CTE has contributed to that significantly, as it has to the population of the school as a whole. But we've also had increased retention in a lot of our upper levels. So starting from 2016-17, you can see that we had 45 total sections at the high school. This is just at the high school. We went up 3 sections in 17-18, plateaued a bit. We went up again, and then we're projected to have as many as 54 sections next year in 2021. So that's our biggest jump yet. And just continuing on, and I wanted to highlight German and French because I know that's something that we've all spoken about in years past. In 1819, we had 0.8 FTE for German, and that was the same in 1920, and next year will be the first year, probably since I've been working. I've been teaching here for 15 years. I understand it was before Frau Baker's time that we had 5 full classes of German offered at the high school. So this is the first time in a long time that we've had that. Same for French. It's been quite a long time since my very first department chair retired that we've had as many French sections. So we went from 0.8 to 1.0 this year, and we're projected to have 1.4 FTE French for the following year. Portuguese is also doing extremely well. There's always a high demand for level 1. But we simply don't have the staffing to make that happen. So what we do is we kind of move the bubble through. So, one year Mrs. Giovanni will have 2 sessions of Portuguese 1, and the following year will be 2 sessions of Portuguese 2, and so forth, and we just move the bubble through. So that's how that works. But we have had continued high demand for level 1, and we certainly could support that. So let's talk about our mission. Our mission in our department is to provide our students with the tools to excel in a multilingual and multicultural world, to inspire students to become lifelong learners and produce culturally competent global citizens, to educate students to competently and confidently communicate with diverse audiences, both domestically and globally, and to inspire students to become lifelong learners who respect and value those within and outside of their own communities. This, of course, is in line with the RISE strategic plan, which comes due this year in 2020 under the section Globally Competent Graduates. So this is aligned to the RISE strategic plan. So let's talk a bit about the curriculum framework. Did you want to bring up the actual document, or did you want me to present my screen? Whatever's working for you guys. If you guys have already perused it, I can just explain the terms quickly, if that works better for all of you.
Why don't we start with that and see?
Okay, that's fine. So as you go through the document, I just wanted to point out some of the terms to people who are not familiar with language education. The performance descriptors describe. Actually, could you bring it up? I think it might be better if we bring it up. You might. The link is right there in the presentation.
Yeah, I'm always a little hesitant, but let's try it.
Success. Okay. If you could just scroll down a little bit to the table of contents. And if you could click on actual performance descriptors, we can start there. Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you. So, ACTFL is our governing organization. It's the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language, and this is where our national standards come from, and this is what Rhode Island has adopted as the state standards as well for world language, but they are the national standards for language learning. These are known as performance descriptors. So, when we have European exchange students or even the German students coming in, those students are readily able to tell me, I'm a level B1 in French, or I'm a C2 in English. They know what their level is, they know what their descriptor is, they know what their ability level is. It's similar to a student saying, I'm a yellow belt in karate, or I'm a green belt. It's similar to that, if that helps you. So levels 1 and 2, we're looking at the novice range. Levels 3 and 4, we're looking at the intermediate range. That's the longest one for students to climb through. A level 5 and above, we're looking at intermediate high to advanced low. It would be very rare for a student to come out of high school anywhere beyond advanced level. I haven't seen that yet in anyone who's outside of a native speaker. In the 3 modes of communication that we'll be discussing, and this is what we assess students in each of our assessments in each unit. So interpersonal refers to exactly what I would be doing if I were having a conversation with you. It's listening to what the other person is saying and responding. Interpretive incorporates the skills of listening and reading. It's all what they're able to interpret from what they can read and understand. And presentational is precisely what I'm doing right now. It's presenting. It's one-way communication via speaking or writing. And lastly, we have the proficiency benchmarks, and this is what kind of brings it all together, and it tells you what students should be able to do in each of those domains at each of those levels. So that's what students should be able to do there in each of those levels. Next up, I also wanted to point out the advanced placement themes. So throughout Spanish and French, but we don't have AP in French as of yet, there are 6 interrelated themes, and everything relates back to those 6 interrelated themes. What we are looked to do in this curriculum is not only align this curriculum to the ACTFL standards, which are known as the 5 C's of communication, but we also wanted to relate it back to the 6 advanced placement themes. So as early on as Spanish 1 in middle school, these students will be, in their own way, exposed to the advanced placement themes starting back in middle school and not at level 4 or as soon as they take a seat in their advanced placement class. Okay, and then from there on, we have the scope and sequence, which I'm sure you guys have been able to peruse, where we went unit by unit and we aligned everything to the themes. And this goes on. Can we go back to the presentation? This has also been vertically aligned with the middle school. So that's been a big thing since I become department chair with me, is making sure that we're very well aligned with what happens at the middle school. What happens at the middle school determines the success of our later programs. It determines the success of our AP program, really, because those are the students who will be starting later on in level 2. So it's been a big goal of mine to make sure that we always align well vertically with the middle schools. Hang on, I see Denise.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Denise.
I was working on getting it back.
Okay. It's my fault for making them switch over.
good.
There we are. So as I was saying, a big piece of this is vertical integration alignment with the middle schools, and making sure that what's happening at the middle schools in level 1 is the same thing that's happening at level 1 at the high school, so that those students are equally ready and prepared for level 2 when they get to us. So that's a big factor. Okay, and looking ahead, we're hoping to build upon our current success in AP and biliteracy. We're looking to continue our discussions with URI in the International Engineering Program. We hope to continue working with the CTE, with Kevin Gormley, and doing what we can to support incoming students and programs. We'd like to address the unique challenges that this presents of accepting out-of-district students. One of the unique challenges is that we don't really know what these students know when they come in. So, you have a student from, say, Whitman Junior High or Narragansett Middle School. We don't know fully. I mean, I can talk to their department chairs. I reach out to all those other individuals, and we talk about what they've covered. But, to say what an A is at Whitman Junior High or Narragansett Middle School versus Wickford Middle School or Davisville Middle School, there are discrepancies there. So we've developed some ways of assessing that, and we're doing that, and it's not perfect, but it works. So we'll continue to address that. Also, and like I said, evaluating and appropriately placing all of those students. We hope to offer early enrollment in German 4. We were all set up to do this last year with Frau Kenny, who unfortunately decided to leave teaching to work with her husband at their business. But our new hire, Mr. Zarin, or Herr Zarin, is about 1 summer away from his master's degree. So as soon as he's able to do that, we should be hopefully good to go there. And we hope to prepare a curriculum that's ready for the potential challenges of the year ahead. There's I don't have to tell you guys that there's a likelihood that we could be on remote learning in September or at any given point next year. So we want to be ready for that. And that was a big piece of this curriculum. So let's talk about the resources. So the last update to our resources was in 2005, which, funny enough, was my very first year at the high school. Teachers have been working extremely hard creating their own resources and materials. It's often even comical at times. We record our own dialogues back and forth. It's just simply not enough. Students need authentic literary and audio resources. I can scour the internet for news articles, current selections, other things, but finding things that are at a reading level that's appropriate for the lower levels of a language that they're able to understand is impossible. It's very, very difficult to find. And then the selections that are appropriate for their language level are simply too juvenile for middle and high school age students. So students need really selections that are written for their age level, but also at a reading level that's appropriate. And the same goes for listening. Students need experience listening to a variety of accents, native speakers, not just their own teacher. And we need the resources to help facilitate remote learning as well. And then continuing on. So one of the products that we've looked at is known as, it's from a company known as Vocis Digital. It's not a text. I can tell you from the heart, I'm not a textbook person. It's not a text, but it's a collection of level and age appropriate audio and literary resources. It's exactly what we were looking for. And then it's organized by AP theme and also aligned to those ACTFL standards. It will provide our teachers with the tools that we need to help meet our goals for our students. It's completely web-based, so therefore we'll work on multiple devices and with multiple LMS. I looked into that as well, because I know we were researching that. So we'll work with Google Classroom, and we'll work with Canva, and we'll work with Schoology. The content is updated semi-annually, so it's always current. It's designed for both remote and in-class learning. The Spanish titles are known as Nuestra Historia, and the French titles are known as Notre Histoire. Mosaic is a different company that's producing the German, but it's the same idea. They also offered us 6 years of access for one price, which is phenomenal. We're working on some Portuguese resources. Most of those are international, so that makes it a little bit more of a difficult find, but we have been working on that. And, you know, being able to purchase these materials now would allow us to use them on the June 1st PE day and over the summer to help make plans for September, whether we're in class or remote, but it will help us to plan ahead for that. So that would be very much appreciated. Okay, and that is what I have for you guys. Do you have questions for me?
Any questions from anyone? Okay, if not,
Yes,
thank
Greg,
you.
I do.
Yeah,
I got
sorry,
you, Greg.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
I don't know if it's easier to stop sharing now. Do you know how AP is working this year with all the workarounds that the College Board was having to say?
Yes, you mean in general or just
Yeah,
for?
well, for NK high school students specifically,
so-
and the Spanish and whatever more specifically.
Correct. So students were allowed to test remotely. So students tested from home. And I know that at least for the language, I know that they took an abridged test. They took only a speaking portion for the language. They took only the speaking portion. There were no other sections of it.
Okay,
I
so
can speak to that. My son took the language, the lower AP one. Is that I always forget what they're called, but you had to take it on an iPhone or a tablet, which was a little bit limiting. Because you had to download an app, and that was only for the foreign language test, as far as I understood.
Yeah.
But he ended up having a technical problem because his ticket was on his Chromebook, and by the time he got all that information off his Chromebook, I mean, time management probably was an issue as well, and went back to the app, he was too late, and they wouldn't let him in.
I actually heard about that one case. I actually did hear about that. Yeah.
So he can retake it, and that's happened across a lot of AP tests. There's been a ton of problems. Anyway, but I just am passing that along to Mr. Jones since he was curious.
yeah, I didn't know how much. I think Phil, you said this starts with next year's because I didn't know how much this is going to impact. Anything RIDE does to the extent AP counts towards stuff. So, and even colleges, because I know some colleges are being a little more reluctant to take threes now, given the way the testing worked. So, just kind of curious how it went. My next question was, we had a little bit of a workaround with 8th grade Spanish. Was that just a 1-year cycle thing?
What is the workaround?
Didn't we have to? I won't get it right, but when they came in to take,
He had 1 year where it was one semester.
Yeah. right?
Yeah. And now it's back to 1 year. It's back to 1 full year. Yep.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yes. We are back 1 full year.
So that leads to my next question, which is sort of, assessing how it's working in the middle school, and then are students getting credit for a certain level of achievement in middle school for Spanish 1 at the high school?
On their high school transcript? So are they receiving high school credit like they do in math?
Yes.
Not currently. Not currently. It had been discussed previously, but not currently.
But they're allowed to go right into Spanish 2.
Correct.
Okay. I think that's something we should talk about at a later date. So, my final question was just in doing, and I appreciate a lot of work that went into this by a lot of people. Have we talked with, and I'm also heartened to see URIs being a little more cooperative and working with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to see too. 2 questions actually. On the Portuguese, have we reached out with Rick to see if they've got domestically available resources? I don't know what they
Yes.
They have a Portuguese department, right?
Yes, they do. So Mrs. Schiavone has been in contact with some individuals at RIC, and she's waiting to hear back on some of the resources that they use. The barrier, I guess I would say, is that even their resources are still internationally based. So we're working on that. We worked with accounting on what forms we would need, and we took care of all that. So it's just a matter of looking at those resources and seeing what works for our kids.
And my last question was, do we reach out to recent alumni who are taking, minor or majors in college with languages to get their feedback? And I only know because I have one who's international business Spanish, and I just asked him what he has learned in speaking now that he's pretty fluent. And his comment was simply, which I think is what you're headed to, which is a lot more listening, a lot more
Proficiency based.
Well, a lot more, podcasts and shows and that kind of material earlier. And surprisingly, he also said homework. So not that's the thing, but that was the feed. I just didn't know if we were reaching out to recent alumni too to get their feedback.
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, I often reach out to them usually before the Thanksgiving holiday when a lot of them come back to visit, and I see which of them would be available to come in and talk with students about their experiences, some of their experiences abroad. So we've often done that. In fact, I'm planning to record a short interview with a couple of students who went abroad this past semester and then tragically had to have it cut short because of the coronavirus. But I was going to interview them about their experiences abroad and post that for my students.
Great,
So,
thank you.
You absolutely do. Yeah, great. I'm glad to hear he's doing so well too.
So,
Yeah,
you wanna talk?
he's going next semester. So
Terrific.
you can interview him when he comes back.
Excellent.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr.
I would love to-
Deluca, I just want to thank you for your leadership. Last several years, we've seen a growth in student interest in world languages. We've seen, some pretty hard to fill staffing positions get filled under your watch. The bilingual certificates are growing like crazy. The AP scores are incredible. So that's, kudos to you and your leadership. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Phil.
And Mrs. Schott, you wanted a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Mr. DeLucia, I represent on the Jamestown School Committee on this board, and I would be remiss just to remind you, which I'm sure you do, to make sure that you're communicating with Michaela and Osco in Jamestown.
Oh, yes.
The Jamestown kids, and I just know historically, the way our language program is set up, our kids have entered the high school a little bit ahead of the NK kids. But I just want to, that's my job on being in this board, to say, don't forget Jamestown. So
Absolutely not. In fact, I've already shared the curriculum document with Michaela.
perfect. That's great.
Yeah,
Thank you. My job is done.
And I have to thank her principal as well for always being very, very accommodating and letting her come to our PE days. Whenever we meet with our middle school teachers during the PE day for vertical integration, she always comes up. So she herself has been amazing with that, and her staff has been accommodating as well. So
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Okay, anything else? Well, thank you very much for the presentation
Thank you.
and the hard work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
So, next item on the agenda is a student representatives report. So, Mr. Vento.
Hello, everybody. You'll hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I'd just like to start with, over the past couple of months, the student union has been meeting with the administration via Google Meet, which is our platform, kind of like Zoom. And we've been discussing how to improve distance learning at the high school level. And since we are approaching the end of the year, at this time I'd like to extend my thanks to Dr. Morse and Mr. Anderson at the high school for taking the time and energy not only to consider some of our distance learning suggestions from the student union, but to actually implement some of our suggestions. And student union runs our meetings via Google Meet, and sometimes I'd actually enter the Google Meet to see Dr. Morse and Mr. Anderson already on talking with some of our students at student union and with our advisor, Mr. Mooney. So that's how dedicated our administration at the high school is. And I think, in my personal opinion, distance learning at the high school is going great. And I think we've really worked out the kinks. And it's my personal opinion that the workload and procedures are excellent. And then the second item I have is kind of a happy, sad one. It's the graduation of our Student Union Vice President and School Committee Representative, Annie Etchels. I'm delighted to say that she's graduating, but I'm also saddened to say that because so, she's not going to be joining us anymore. And I'd like to say thank you so much, and for everything that you've done, for your dedication, your hard work, your service. Of all people, I know it's really hard to juggle schoolwork with coming to meetings every other Tuesday night, and we greatly value your contribution to the school committee, and I wish you best of luck at Northeastern and wherever life may take you after that.
Thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to come to these meetings and see a little bit of how the school committee works.
And Annie, on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for being a part of our meetings. And we wish you the best off to college and everything that you do in the future. Check back with us. We'd love to hear how everything goes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Hildebrand, who adopted me on Adopted Team here. It's a terrific thing to see all of the seniors post, because I get to see a little bit about everyone who posts, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, we're excited. Annie and my daughter Riley have gotten to know each other a little bit, so we thought it was kind of cool since she was the rep on the school committee that we adopted her, although it's not official yet. We haven't dropped off your gift yet. I'm still putting it together. But yeah, we were happy to do that, so congratulations.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys.
Thank you once again, Annie.
Okay, thanks. So next item on the agenda are citizens' comments. So for anybody who doesn't know, there is a button in the participant section you can push to say raise your hand. And I will see that. And if you can't find it and you want to turn your video on and wave frantically or something, I should see that too. And I'm just looking through. Okay, I do see one. So I do ask just a couple things that we do at every meeting, including the online ones. If you please state your name and address for the record, and we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So I'm going to recognize this person here. One moment. Oh, wait, then they moved when I clicked it. Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead. If you could please state your name and address, and then go right ahead.
Allison Sarah, 17 Douglas Drive. We're asking your permission to host a Merit Scholar per the current exchange student policy amended in 2018. Alona Dunsta of Kazakhstan, part of the former Soviet Union, received preliminary approval by Dr. Morse on February 24th and was abruptly denied after continuous correspondence through April 24th by administration and Mr. Glalstag in an email. Alona is a Future Leaders Exchange Program Flex Merit Scholar funded by the United States Department of Educational and Cultural Affairs Bureau. She is one of 48,000 competing for a seat to study in America since last year, and she was one of 1,000 selected and matched with our family in North Kingstown. The goal of FLEX is to improve mutual understanding and develop and strengthen long-term relationships between United States citizens and citizens of other countries. FLEX is moving forward in the fall, and so are other United States and Rhode Island districts with their plans. Hosting a FLEX student makes North Kingston High School a Medallion Medal School, which is the highest and most prestigious honor and invitation offered by the U.S. Department of State of World Languages, and has completed a formal art school, is a drama participant, music lover, voracious reader, and scholarly competitor in a myriad of areas, and internationally is earning accolades. Annually, the United States sends 5,400 students to study on exchange visas. As a society, our goal is to foster global relationships that will teach students to navigate the challenges of an increasingly global society, even during times like these. A xenophobic attitude has been apparent, hoping to exclude Alona, a merit scholar, young lady, and individual who could enrich our community and gain tremendously from an experience she has earned. No financial burden exists to North Kingston School District in educating Alona. Per ride, every high school student receives her student funds, and as an exchange student, Alona counts as one of these students. Additionally, the committee should note that the request for us to pay tuition was distasteful at best. Alona, like other exchange students, must apply for a J1 visa to study in America. She cannot without the sponsorship from her host high school. And if you do not approve her as an exchange student, Alona cannot apply for the J1 visa. This was communicated in a letter from Senator Whitehouse to Dr. Ogier, and he expressed his sincere distaste, and I would say concern. The governor's office and Department of Health has communicated to us that Alona will quarantine for 14 days upon her arrival, and she is absolutely no health safety risk. North Canton must comply with Ride Vision 2020, which among other
You
things
usually have a light with a
requires the
green,
district-
yellow, red. You've gone over 3, so if you could
I
wrap
was
it up.
actually told I had 5 tonight.
No, you have 5 on the agenda for this item. This is citizens' comments. So during the citizens' comments portion of the meeting, anyone can speak on any issue for up to 3 minutes. We do have this up for discussion on our agenda later on, where we've set aside 5 minutes. So this agenda item isn't up for discussion until later on in the agenda, and we'll come to it again, and then we have a total of 5 minutes set aside for that. But this is the citizens' comments portion of the meeting. We can't discuss that yet because we're not at that agenda item. Okay, so, I'm happy to,
We'll just revisit it again, okay?
I'm sorry? You break up a little bit.
Go back to it again at that point then.
Okay, that's fine, yep, so we'll give you the total of 5 at the end there. And,
Okay.
thanks. And so, if you look at our agenda, you'll see when we'll get there. Okay, so, anyone else, who would like to speak at this point during citizens' comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Next, we have the superintendent's report, so I'll recognize Dr. Jay.
Mr. Blasberg, I'm all set tonight. We
Okay.
did a lot last week, and I think we're covered for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next we have our routine items. I'd ask if we could have a motion to seal the executive session minutes of this evening, May 26, 2020.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Hoskins.
Second.
Second from, sorry, is that Ms. Hildebrand?
Yeah.
Okay, second Ms. Hildebrand. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And I can disclose that no votes were taken in this evening's executive session. Do any members want to exempt any items from the consent agenda? All right, if not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
So moved.
I have a motion, Ms. Hoskins.
Second.
Second, Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, we have the approval of the foreign language curriculum. We just had a presentation about our foreign language programs.
Aye.
Someone voted, but I didn't hear. We aren't there yet. I heard an aye. So I need a motion to approve the foreign language curriculum, item D1.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Mather.
Second.
Second, Ms. Hoskins. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay, so now we've reached the agenda item about the exchange student program. So I will recognize you again to sort of pick up where you left off. And as Attorney Carroll had mentioned, we did set aside 5 minutes total for you to speak your part, and then the school committee will discuss things. So I'm going to put you back on here. Okay, go right ahead.
So would you like me to begin again?
Yes, please, thank you. Well, not from the beginning, but if you could pick up where you left off, thank you.
The governor's office has communicated to our family that Alana will quarantine for 14 days upon her arrival and that she is not a health safety risk. North Kingston should comply with the RIDE Vision 2020, which among them requires district educators, LEAs, and students to engage with peers who offer diversity as well as families. The Vision 2020 highlights the following goals, just to name a few: communities being inclusive of many cultures, diverse perspective, and mutually respectful attitudes. Alona's experience in the U.S. will be beneficial even with distance learning. Our family has strong ties to Kazakhstan, as our daughters were adopted from this country. Living in Kazakhstan 4 times when completing our adoptions for several months, we realized firsthand the differences present in a communist country in daily living. Support Alona and make the chance she has earned as a scholar to study in America. Boldly reject the xenophobic attitude many have displayed surrounding this topic and Alona, and honor the policy you have in place. We know North Kingston High School is a learning institution that will model inclusive learning practices and will welcome diversity, and join the districts that are leading by example in our state. Lastly, if you are reviewing your exchange policy, please form a committee of educators and leaders who reviews policies and bases the policy on the vision which embraces diversity. And that's all.
Thank you. So just to begin the discussion with the members, you mentioned at some point something about tuition. I'm going to make a motion here just to start out the discussion. So the policy that's in question regarding exchange student programs is the North Kingstown School Department policy JFABB. And what it says is that the North Kingstown School Department may accept up to 4 exchange students per calendar year. And it then goes through what those provisions would be. Now the superintendent, due to the COVID-19 epidemic, the uncertainty regarding what schooling is going to look like next year, in fact, frankly, we aren't certain that there's going to be, not saying that we know or we don't know, but what in-person school would look like next year, if there's going to be in-person school, we don't know yet. That's all being worked on at the state level. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. And we also have a very difficult budget year where we're cutting back on a lot of optional programs that we've done in the past but aren't necessarily doing this year. And as a result, Dr. O'Shea made the decision to not accept any exchange students next year. So just for the benefit of the committee members, there hasn't been a decision made on any particular student's application. There just simply are not any available spots. We're not accepting any exchange students. So the motion that I'm going to make is that the school committee has reviewed policy JFABB and found that the superintendent's decision to accept no exchange students in the next school year is consistent with our policy because it gives him the discretion to accept any or none up to 4. And he's decided to accept none. And that the school committee ratifies the decision that the superintendent has made. Now that's my motion. If I could have a second, please.
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Hildebrand. So any discussion on that from the members? Any questions?
I just have a question, like.
Ms. Hoskins, yes.
This also includes what he was just talking about, the GAP program too?
Well, that's not a that's a completely different program, so I don't know what's going on with that. Those are not students that attend the high school for the whole year. They're only here for like a week or something and then they go home. Okay. That's also very uncertain at this point because we have no idea if they're going to be able to run that program. But it's a completely different program. They don't attend class for the whole year. They don't become enrolled students at the high school.
Okay.
Yeah. And that may or may not happen either. We don't know. Any other questions?
Greg.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I appreciate your passion on the issue. I guess I take a little umbrage with the word xenophobic as someone who actually helped write the RIDE 2020 plan 7 or 8 years ago, and whose own child was supposed to go on 2 foreign exchange trips this year, and both of them have been canceled by those countries. And also, working at a place that normally takes 200 to 300 international students every year, and we almost cut that back to 0 for new students, which is a significant problem for us, and no one there is xenophobic. So I guess I would just caution to say, as someone who worked on the 2018 policy and embraces the fact that North Kingstown High School provides these opportunities, I would just say, be careful that it doesn't reflect how people feel. It more reflects the realities and the uncertainties of the current situation. And that is just a bad outcome for a lot of kids, including those who are going to graduate this year and do all kinds of other things that have now been put on hold.
Any others? I just want to sort of mention on what Mr. Jones had said as well. This has nothing to do with the merits of this particular student. I have no doubt that this student is the perfect student for this program. We're just not running this program next year. So it's not about the student. It's not about a particular person. This person, I would tell you that if this person, if we knew for sure that this person is going to be the most successful person to come out of her country for the next few years and will end up the president of her country, I appreciate that, but I still wouldn't change that. I don't think that it's appropriate for us to take any exchange students next year. It's not about the individual student. It's nothing about their merits. It's just with everything that's going on in the world right now, with our budget issues, with the uncertainty in the next school year, there are a lot of things that aren't happening, and I support the superintendent's decision that our exchange program is going to be suspended next year. The following year, completely different answer. We all hope and pray that things are back to a state of normalcy to the point where we can reinstitute it, and then again, look at taking up to 4 exchange students. Anyone else?
I'd like to also say
Mr.
that I
Maffigan?
support, Dr. Auger's decision. I'm a huge proponent of foreign exchange. I was a foreign exchange student myself in Hungary for a year in high school. I know what it's like for a nearly third world country to live there for a year. And again, it's not about the student. It's not about the credentials. It's literally just about policy. So I just want to show my support for Dr. Auger as well.
Dr. Auger?
Yes, I just want to point out that, everything you pointed out is true. That is the basis for my decision. But also, the North Kingstown High School has been a leader in foreign exchange in the state of Rhode Island. When we had the discussion a few years ago to go to 4, no more than 4, it was partially because of our capacity to be able to do it. But in looking at a lot of other districts around the state, they do not have these programs, and the ones that do are amazed that we were having more than 4 students. So I consider that an indication that we've been one of the leaders in this regard. We certainly value the program, but given the state of our budget, of the economy, of the status of school being in or out, and we just feel like this is not something that we can focus on in a smart way this year. So that's why I decided to suspend for the year.
Any other comments? Okay, if no one else has anything else to say, we'll take a vote. So all those in favor of my motion, which was again to state that the superintendent, that the school committee feels that the superintendent followed policy JFBB in his decision to suspend foreign exchange students next year, and that we ratify his decision to do so. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, 1 no. And any abstentions? So because we very rarely have this where we usually do a unanimous vote, just due to the confusion of online voting and everything, I will ask Mrs. Healy if you could do a roll call vote on that, just so we're all clear on how everyone came out.
Okay, in favor of the motion, Ms. Last one, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Hoskins?
No.
Mrs. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Mr. Mather?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Two
you.
ayes and, yep.
So the motion passes 4-1, and Celia, please ensure that the record reflects the votes individually. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Stu.
Okay, next, for unfinished business, we have the 2019-20 school budget. Mrs. King, anything on that?
Your microphone's muted.
Yeah, you're either muted or not handy, one or the other. There you are.
I was trying to, somebody's all wrapped up. No, I do not have anything.
Okay, and 2020-21 school budget?
Nope.
CIP, existing bond or future bonds?
Just real quick on the athletic complex, the track. We are scheduled for June 15th for that track to be laid, so let's do the no rain dance for that.
Thank you. And any members have any questions on the financial reports?
Greg, quick thing, Mary, or Mike, can we, is the cameras gonna be running? Like, can we see the time lapse thing?
We'll do that.
Oh, on the track, you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets set up.
Yeah, if you could send us that link again, that I looked at it quite a bit actually when we were building the field, so thank you. Okay, then we have reached the end of our agenda, and I ask that you have, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Hoskins.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mather. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.